everybody, and welcome to Creative Minds. This is episode 10. I'm excited for this episode because today with us we have a YouTuber named Eric.
Hello. How's it going?
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you, Emerrias?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited for today.
So, Eric, you are a YouTuber. Is that
yes.
correct? Okay. What do you do on your channel?
My channel, they're sort of like weekly think pieces, sort of. So I just take some of the thoughts that I have that day, package them in story form, try to keep it about 4 to 6 minutes. They're usually some encouraging vibes and also just very reflective, trying to encourage people to take more accountability in their lives, be change makers in their own lives.
Oh yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I definitely detect that in your videos for sure. I really do like your channel in general, not gonna lie, because I feel like we're very similar in a lot of ways. I know we've talked like off podcasts and stuff.
And for me, it's really fun because it's just, I'm finding more ways to be more naturally me. Like, yes, I'm creating content. For the most part, they're almost like diary entries. You know, it's like stuff I'm genuinely thinking about that week and I need to get it out of my head. And so I find like some sort of engaging way to package it and then just sort of send it off. It feels almost cathartic after every single one.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. It's good to get stuff out when you've been thinking about it for a while, for sure.
How long have you guys been doing YouTube though?
I've been doing it for about 3 years now.
How was your schooling experience and how has it impacted your creative life, negatively or positively, you know?
That's a fantastic question. And
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. So I was actually homeschooled until high school, and then I went to public high school, and then I went to college. My homeschool experience, though, it was sort of like private school. I had like other homeschoolers that I did classes with, but for the most part, my schedule was very like irregular, not like 8 to 3 or whatever. And I would do certain subjects on my own and certain subjects with like in a class, more traditional classroom setting. That's one of the main fundamental things that makes me the way I am that I have not yet really talked about on my channel. It's like a secret. It's like a secret weapon. I guess it's more influential in me doing videography. When I was homeschooled, I had more time to do whatever. So I would do my homework and I had more time I would like draw comics, I would read comics, I would make stop motion videos for hours and hours and hours. That was actually my first YouTube channel. It was a Lego stop motion channel with like it picked up. It was like early YouTube. It was like 2.1 or 3.2 total million views or something like that.
Oh wow. I mean, the reason I laughed is because that's what I started doing as
really?
well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Exactly that. Yeah. There's still
So yeah, I think that gave me a cool place to like find some of my interests. That's when I first was like playing around with the camera, making home videos with my cousins, and like as soon as I figured out how to edit, I was like so obsessed with editing.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think I would have figured that out as early if I hadn't been homeschooled. And the other thing is just also questioning the system a little bit. I think that sort of put that in my head of like, wait, everyone else is going to school from 8 to 3, but for me, I'm not doing that. I get to like sleep in maybe, or a lot of times I was learning a whole bunch of cool stuff that my peers weren't learning. In some ways, having a better education than, whatever, and doing way less work. So why was I, it put some of those ideas in my head, which I think was like very fundamental in me being like, maybe I don't need to be a doctor. Maybe I can do videography.
Right.
Which is what I do full time now.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were homeschooled part of your life. That's quite interesting. I think that definitely contributes a factor to that because apparently I can relate in that aspect too because like I've been homeschooled, except I've always been homeschooled. So I've never actually gone to a public school.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah. So I know that has definitely influenced me because I've learned a lot about my hobbies and everything because of that. A lot more time, I
used to be like, oh, I love school. I can't, like, I'll be so bummed when I don't have to go to school. Because I'm sort of good at taking tests and just sort of, the school stuff works with me.
Interesting.
But then after a while, I was like, the reason this is fun is because it seems like a game and because it's fun to get like affirmation and validation all the time that, they're like, oh, you're good at life. Right. Check mark,
I mean, it's good. It's always good to get the high score, right?
Right. And then after a while, I was like, this feels good to pat my ego, not because it's actually helpful for my life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be done with school.
Oh,
Yeah.
same, dude.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
yeah. It's weird actually, cause it's kind of different for me, cause since I lived in like I had to move around a lot because of dad's job, you know. So I lived in a lot of random countries, and those were always like private schools in those countries. Really smart people. I didn't like school too much, so I always got all my teachers would always be like, "You suck, you suck."
Oh, that sucks. Man.
Yeah. Just because, BC versus all these A students kind of shaped me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to show you guys that I will truly rise on the new form of media.
That's awesome. Yeah. This is a great time to go rogue, dude.
How exactly did you get into content creation? Was it just like you wanted to do something else like besides school, or was it there an influence in your life?
When I went to college, I had switched from pre-med to videography, and so I was trying to build that out. Started getting really tired of making videos for other people, even though it was awesome to make money.
I get what you're saying.
And I had just made, I think, like a Taylor Swift album reaction video with a friend or something. And it was so fun to do these like really quirky edits and like just having fun with it. And I was like, man, how awesome would it be if I got to make more things like that? But I abandoned it. And then I started listening to some Gary Vee. Gary Vee was like,
yeah.
Gary Vee's all about like documenting and like all that stuff. And so I was like, that could be sort of cool for my videography business as it's like starting in its early stages. And then I was like, I'm not sure. I'm not very extroverted. I'm not very charismatic. Who would listen to really what I have to say? And then at my school, I very, very indirectly found out about this girl at my school named Audrey. So Audrey at the time had 200 subscribers. She was a freshman, and I just thought it was crazy that she was posting these videos of her, like, it was like more personal than a diary. It was her like sitting in a tree, like talking about her mood and stuff like that. Just herself. To the point of not worrying about being charismatic, any of that stuff. I reached out and we became friends and stuff. Basically, once you see Audrey's channel and how she takes it seriously and like all this stuff and how open she is with just showing whatever, I had zero excuses. She just like completely obliterated all my excuses. And so that was right around the time when I was like, all right, we're taking the dive. That being said, I probably hyped myself up for about 3 weeks or so. Because for me, it was really important to, I didn't want to be one of those people that's like, I'm going to make a YouTube video every single day, and then 5 days in, gives up. Yeah. Like, I was like, no, I refuse to do that. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna set a realistic goal, and I'm gonna commit so hard. And so 1 video a week, we're doing that for the rest of the year. It turned into this whole other thing. So I started probably like mid-March of last year, doing like vloggy stuff.
That's crazy.
Mostly inspired by Gary and Audrey. Audrey Ember.
2 things. 1, Gary Vee comes up so much on this podcast, it's ridiculous. Like every single person we interview is like Gary Vee, and I'm like, yeah, dude, Gary Vee is like the best. But the other thing is, honestly, I think I found your channel because of the collaboration with Audrey. I am pretty sure.
Really?
I don't know how else I would have found you.
Which one?
It was more
recently.
recently.
The one where I was interviewing her?
It was more recently, I think so.
Or the one where I did a little video about her?
I think the interview.
That one, like, randomly recently is starting to get a lot of traction, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Audrey, do you know Audrey?
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah, so I just happened to run into her before she was famous.
Before she blew up, right? Yeah.
She blew up like 3
famous.
times. Yeah.
Right.
And the only reason I found Audrey, funnily enough, was because I took this ping pong class.
What?
I took a random ping
That's
pong class.
crazy.
And I ran into this other vlogger, and I don't really connect with her content that much, but I was friends with her, so I was following, and then she did a collab with Audrey, and I was like, who the heck is this girl? The rest is history. And then I ran into Cody. I found Cody because of Audrey, so that whole spiraled into a lot of
Isn't it
other
crazy
things.
how, like, you start watching this one person, and then all of a sudden, like, throughout the years, it turns into this chain where you find this one specific person over here from over here. That's literally how I found your channel, because I found you through, like, 6 other people somehow.
That's
ridiculous.
pretty awesome.
It all started with Bobby Burns too.
Bobby Burns.
Yeah, not gonna lie, because it went. Do you want me to tell you how I got there?
Oh,
Okay, so it went from Bobby Burns. He did a collaboration with Psych IRL. Then she did a collaboration with Josie, Life Like Josie, and then Josie did a collaboration with Audrey, and then Audrey did a collaboration with you. And so it's this a whole chain.
That's funny. I expected you to find my content through Cody, but you did not.
No, I don't think so, because I never watched Cody, so that can't be right. Audrey's great. Yeah.
She's just so unashamedly herself. It's so weird.
Those are the best people on YouTube, for real.
If you meet her in real life, it's almost exactly like that. And there's a lot of stuff she includes in her videos where I was like, I wouldn't have included that.
I don't. There's so many people I want to meet in real life and just talk about creativity. And that's one reason, like, I love this podcast. It's just like a nice conversation with people that I can actually relate to.
Right.
Because in my area, it's like nobody. Like,
have you ever run into
like my friends.
a YouTuber in real life?
No, I haven't. Well, okay. That's not true, because I went to this convention called BlimeyCon, which was run by Blimey Cow.
The like homeschool Christian guy.
Yeah. So I met them in real life, but those were the only people.
Gotcha. Would you ever go to like VidCon or something like that?
Yes, I would, in a heartbeat.
I think I'm gonna go this year.
The only thing that's stopping me is finances, though.
Yeah.
Literally.
Just gotta rake in the dough. Because
I do. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do want to go to VidCon one day for sure. That's on my list.
Yes.
Imagine like being on like less than famous panel of the VidCon.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be
real.
crazy.
Major clout.
Yeah.
Do you guys watch any of the clouty people on YouTube?
Like the ones who have millions of subscribers?
Like the Rice Gums and the Jake Pauls and the
No, I don't.
Mr. Beast and
No. I don't find their content valuable.
Really?
Truly. I just don't.
Yeah, I was catching up on Jake Paul and Rice Gum, their whole like child gambling stuff,
right.
but that's about it.
I'm the kind of person to watch the H3H3 video on it than watch the original thing.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I watched that too. Yeah, that was
I
great.
don't even watch H3H3. I'm just like,
and Drama Alert, honestly.
I don't like Drama Alert. I just don't. There's just some channels where I'm like, I'm not interested, for very weird taste in content.
Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of YouTube ecosystems, so it's all good.
That's fair.
How did you feel before you found your footing, and how did you build on said failures?
When I first started out, honestly, it was going pretty good. The audience was going there. I mean, I didn't really find an audience for a while, but the majority of my friends would watch. I didn't find it sustainable. My first 5-6 episodes, I was like, I'm showing my week. My life isn't that interesting. I find a way to make it interesting, but it's just with crazy edits or with whatever. It's not very practical for me to be biking and holding my mic, holding my my camera. Yeah. I realized it was a lot more difficult to talk in front of the camera. So from that, I started studying basically and practicing, seeing where I chop my sentences in half by saying what I really think is, instead of just saying my main point of what I think, because once I say it, you assume this guy thought about what he was saying. And there's a lot of things you can do with your sentences to restructure them, to be more direct, to be louder, to be that type of stuff. So that really helped. I knew that I couldn't sustain it with quick editing of my life. That's what I thought my channel was going to be for a while. Showing me working with this client and doing school at the same time. I realized most of the time I'm just sitting in class or skipping class. It's just really not that fascinating. It wasn't until I talked about a question in one of my videos that suddenly I had people asking me, having discussions with me in person, being more interested, and that's when I stumbled upon a couple other non-friend YouTube people. Yeah, and that was actually way more my natural speed because it was more thoughtful, reflective. I saw someone's Instagram question, and it was are you overworking or underworking? Or do you? I
saw that video.
Do you tend to overwork or underwork? And I was super triggered because I was honestly,
right?
I feel super lazy all the time. I'm definitely not overworked. But is that wrong? So I just went down that whole train.
So do you get the feeling where it's you're doing so much yet feeling like you've done nothing?
Yeah.
I feel that every once in a while.
Or also just, I think I hold myself to certain standards that maybe aren't very forgiving. If I work, and then one day I just waste the whole day away. I feel so bad about that one day.
Yeah.
Instead of just moving along, doing the next day.
I mean, there's a time and a place for that, don't get me wrong. But it's tough when you're your own boss,
Ooh,
that's always
that's my whole life.
The tough part. Yeah, for real. You have to be accountable to yourself, and it's the hardest thing.
I don't think I would have been able to do it at 18.
Oh, I mean, probably not.
So
I'm a weird
the fact that you're doing
person.
You're killing.
Well, I think it helps that I've been so disciplined with YouTube because I was posting consistently, weekly, no matter what for the longest of time. So I think that helped me.
Yeah.
That's helped train myself to like work good with deadlines and scheduling and everything. But it's not easy. Like
that was a major thing that I have not actually talked about yet. But like discipline and also integrity, like, and following through with stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
My last video was about goals, but if you don't have that, it really doesn't matter what your thought goals are, because you just sit around or someone who like has big talk, no game.
Ideas are garbage. It's all about execution.
Hey, at Gary
For
V.
real.
Yo.
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
It's so true. It's like it kind of triggers me when people talk about these great ideas but then do nothing. I'm like,
well,
you have to do something. Like,
usually, yeah, you can weed out people pretty quickly by being like, you know, they're like, oh, I'm into going into dance or like music or theater, or, you know, I'm working on an album, or I'm gonna be a film director or something, you know. And I'm like, oh, awesome, like, can you send me a link to some of the stuff you've worked on? And then they're like,
right,
oh, dude, I like just, you know, it's on its way, don't worry, like, I'm so pumped about it, like, you have no idea this idea, you know. Right. And you're just like, wait, what? You talked all that time and you've never made any video before?
Oh, yeah.
It's really difficult to not be cynical in those moments, but it's just like,
right. Well, I'm of the opinion it's fine if you're not.
No, it's totally fine.
But just don't talk about it.
I wouldn't say don't talk about it. I'd say
talk about it appropriately.
Yeah, you know.
I'm talking about the people. There was a guy who, like, actually, he was just straight up lying. He was saying how, like, he had a documentary and, like, he had, you know, his thing was almost picked up by National Geographic and then he turned them down and, like, all this stuff. But then he was shooting the wedding, and the way he was shooting the wedding was with his smartphone. And it was him. He held it to his chest and was like walking around with it, and that was him filming the wedding.
That's
and
terrible.
I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way this guy was almost picked up by National Geographic. Because I asked him again, oh, that's awesome, can I see like a clip or something? He's like, oh, dude, can't right now, but later.
You know, I've had it where people are like, they look at my video and they're like, oh, 100 views, man, if I made a video right now I would get thousands. And I'm like, okay, then do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny.
Yeah. And it's not even like in a mean way. It's just, I just want to see what you're talking about.
Right. It's like back up what you say, you know, don't just talk. Right. Yeah.
Do you see yourself still doing YouTube in like 5 years or?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think so.
Macro baby.
Especially since like I finally, I think, found my voice with my content. Like I think I found my own style and like what direction I want to go. Because it took me forever to realize that I'm good at analyzing topics and whatnot, because that's just how I think. I always want to know the why of something, and so I've incorporated that into my content, and every single time I have, it's been way better than everything else. Right. So I'm trying to focus on that more so. The problem is, like, I also don't want to fit myself in a box, because then I mean,
it can evolve
like
as it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more like adding elements.
No, it is. No, yeah. Well, it's whenever people used to ask me what is your channel about, I wouldn't know how to answer. But now I have a confident answer because I figured it out.
Right.
Like,
but I still need to work on the elevator pitch. I know what my channel is, but I can't say it in like 2 sentences.
Yeah, it takes time. It's not easy.
Like, I did it on my bio or whatever, but also the things that you write in your bio, those aren't things you can say in normal life. Usually, like, out loud, you know, it just like sounds way cornier.
I am an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Dude, just entrepreneur and Instagram bio.
No. I never even thought about doing that. And then as soon as I heard Gary V talking about that, I was like, yeah, I'm never doing that. How did you guys find Gary V?
Emerrias showed me his stuff, honestly.
Yeah. I think you gotta watch this.
There's certain personality types where if you see Gary Vee, there's no chance you're not gonna watch him for the rest of your life. Right? Like, it's just like he like totally connects and vibes.
He challenges you, which is what I do really appreciate.
I want to be Gary Vee in the future.
Dude, you're gonna be better than Gary Vee.
True, I take the best parts of him and negate the worst parts. Yeah,
right.
Well, okay. What are your least favorite parts about Gary Vee?
I actually don't know. After I said that, I was like, what are my least favorite parts of Gary Vee?
He would reach more people if he toned down the profanity, but you know, to each their own. But that's about it.
He talked about that one time where it was like,
but at the same time, I kind of like it because he's just like, I'm just being me, which is kind of preaching his own message. So props to him, I guess.
You got anything, Emerrias?
Yeah. Let me go through my questions.
No. Like, what's your least favorite thing about Gary Vee?
Oh, least favorite thing? That's so hard. Part of me would be like, I think at that point I would do more family over hustle. I would scale back the hustle just a little bit to spend time with, your 5-year-old kids or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a couple more years until they're, constantly in school, and then really go back.
Right.
The macro,
No, that's fair.
I think that's what I would do.
Sometimes I think he gets a little too loud. Or,
yeah, I see what you mean. Mm-hmm.
Like, I like it when he's loud, but sometimes he's like legit screaming, or he interrupts people a little too much. But
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Like
he hates that about himself.
Yeah,
too,
we all have our flaws. Like he's a good guy with good intentions, and we need more people like that speaking and having audiences.
Also, I love that his main message is he just wants people to be happy. There's a lot of these like finance business people, and they're like all about money,
right?
And they don't say it, but they basically say like they just have all these ways of tricking you into being like it's all about money. Money is happiness, all this stuff, and I just completely disagree. So the fact that his thing is very relatable to, I just love that his main thing is about happiness, because in my mind, I don't care if I'm making 20K, 200K, whatever.
Right, money is dumb.
Let's go.
I can make it work. I can, it'll change over time, whatever. But if I'm not happy, then what's the?
I have a question. Point? Are you a person who likes to buy physical things a lot of the time, or are you just like? What am I trying to ask here?
Do I get joy out of?
Yeah, so almost
buying
like
things.
I guess one way to explain it is, do you know what the?
Are you familiar with Myers-Briggs?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your Myers-Briggs?
INFP.
Slightly mysterious. One. What's that, Mariah?
INFJ.
INFJ. I am INTP. Ooh. I don't get that much out of physical objects, if that's
right. Same.
You were talking about.
Yeah, because it's like some people like they want their Gucci shoes, they want their Rolex, they want their Lamborghini, and I'm like, that's not me. I'd rather save my money. I don't care about all of that.
Right.
That's what I was asking.
Emrias wants the Gucci.
Right.
No. Only the Gary Vee shoes. Okay, only the Gary Vee shoes.
I wouldn't even go for that, man.
The Gary Vee shoes, man.
Do they make you happy?
It's right. When you need new shoes, go with the Gary Vee. Support our boy Gary.
That's fair. I mean, I guess yeah. Because what makes me happy is creating. Truly,
some people buy stuff because to like front, which is obviously not great, but there's also people who legitimately get a lot out of the experience of buying something and having it. In Myers-Briggs, they'd be the S.
Right, yeah.
And so the experience of getting it is worth it. And, go for it, dude. But I get
be you.
Nothing
like, I'm not going to knock that. If you enjoy doing that, cool. It's your money.
Right.
But, like, it doesn't interest me.
Stuff kind of sucks.
I swear, even, like, this Christmas, I didn't even know what I wanted. I didn't actually want anything, truly. I was just like, I don't want any presents because it's just going to be things that I barely use anyway, so what's the point?
And then your parents high five. They're like, yes.
Right. And then instead they buy us a PS4. So I'm like, okay then.
What a bummer.
What a bummer.
Man, I'll get to play Kingdom Hearts 3, my childhood game that I've been waiting for a decade. It's so terrible, man. So yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. I feel like that's really common among creative people from what I've noticed. Obviously, there are exceptions, but it's tough to replicate what you get from being creative. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
I want stuff to up the quality and extend my creativity for real. A gimbal is on my shopping list soon, get that smooth video. But all just stuff to boost the creativity, and stuff that I can do. But besides that, stuff kind of sucks, Supreme.
Gucci, Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. Except MasterEth merch is pretty cool, Not that I bought any, but
Right. Dude, I have all the shirts in my closet.
Oh boy.
I've been thinking about just like deleting that page because I
made
it
too early.
Oh yeah, man, I made that mistake.
Why? No, you're fine, dude.
The idea was I probably won't. It's just like,
what's it look like?
Here's the problem though. Most YouTubers, their audiences are children who don't have jobs and have no money. So I did it like way too soon, first of all.
When did you make them?
Like last year. It's not a recent thing. Like,
have you promoted it at all?
Oh yeah. on my channel, basically everywhere. And it's like, that was my mistake. Like, I shouldn't have done that so soon, and I realized that. So I'm learning from that mistake, and instead I'm just trying to push out like very valuable content, because that's what matters the most, truly.
I don't know. I wouldn't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, I get that. That's fair.
I thought Teespring, you don't have to make the shirts. It's not only like...
No, you don't. You just like design them and then put them on Teespring, basically.
Right. I like being my own boss. I like creating stuff.
Right.
And honestly, the way that I be my own boss and the way that I create stuff is probably going to be different in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years. It's going to be literally radically different. But as long as I get to do that stuff, then I'm pretty pumped.
What do you do on the days when you wake up and you're like, oh, wow, today doesn't feel like a very good day, and you don't want to exercise, but you know you kind of have to, and you don't really want to do certain things, but you know it's required of you? How do you still
how much is required and not motivated? There's days when I just don't want to maybe work right then.
Well, that's fair. No, I get that.
And then there's other days when I literally have to go to a shoot.
I guess the example
like external motivation or internal motivation.
Are those different?
I mean, if I have to go to a job to make money, that's sort of external. You know, that's pressure.
Okay.
Right? Whereas some people would slack on that, but for me, I would never.
I mean more so internally, like with your own
internally
projects and responsibilities and stuff.
As I've gotten older, I've become much more forgiving of my own natural rhythms of like motivation. And the more that I embrace it actually more, the better and happier I am. I mean, Gary Vee talks about that all the time.
Interesting.
But like, sometimes I feel lazy, or sometimes I feel sleepy or tired or don't want to work. Maybe I'll like set a time limit on that, or let's say even if I do waste the entire day, I try to not beat myself up over it and just move on, because I used to do that a lot. And
yeah,
it's not worth it. Also, another piece of it is knowing how much your mood swings throughout the day. Like sometimes it's just, you just hop out of bed and start working out, and then suddenly you're in the mood again, you know, like you've got all the motivation back.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a hack to make yourself work and be the most optimal machine possible. It's more about figuring out yourself, when is the right time to be introverted, relaxed, maybe more quote unquote lazy, and then other times when you need to hustle. That being said, also another side note is you have to build up a repertoire of credibility with yourself. If you're lazy all the time, then who cares? Like, no, you need to get off your butt and like start practicing being disciplined.
Yeah.
But for me, at least, I know that I'm going to get the job done, or like I know that when I commit to something or I'm in the zone focusing on it, I'm going to give it a lot of effort. So in that sense, I don't have to beat myself up if I take like 2 hours off here, or like hang out with friends or whatever, which I used to do. I used to be like, really feel bad about, oh, today was a good day because I was productive. Oh, today was a half good day because I was half productive. Today was a sucky day because I just had fun. You know, it's like, what?
You have to, it doesn't come easy. You almost have to learn it, because I used to be really bad about beating myself up over like even the littlest things, and I've gotten to a point where it's like I can say that like nowadays, like I truly love myself and I don't do that. Nice. And so that really helps for sure. But when it comes to like motivation, I feel like for me, like when I'm not feeling it, usually like if I start something and I start working on it, that's when it kind of like goes away.
Oh, because totally.
Starting is like always like the most difficult part, but once you actually get in the motion of it, like exercising, then it's not as much of a hassle, but it's the initial push.
You know, it's important to be there every week like you say you are. And you know, I realize that I've left the audience on the table, because currently there's always so much going on, and not just like so much, just also like I guess I just suck at like time management currently, which is something I really need to get better at. I've left so much like in growth on the table because I'm bad at that. I gotta be self-aware. I gotta realize that. You know, I can think about how much, I guess, bigger I would be, more audience I would have retained if, you know, I had a consistent posting schedule for like the past 3 years. That's the thing. That's the thing you gotta work on, you know?
Do you think that that's your motivation, though?
Yeah, I think it's...
I would have had a bigger audience if I had done that.
Yeah, it's kind of motivation, and also kind of recently I'm like figuring out what kind of content really gets me excited to start editing and stuff like that, and which kind of content I put off editing. Like recently, you know, I really figured out that videos where I just sit down and talk to the camera, you know, for 30 minutes, 45 minutes is the stuff I really hate editing. So I always put that off, which is what I'm fixing now, because, you know, I hire MasterEth to do those videos for me, which is really great. So I'm getting there, you know. And the videos, and then the videos that's more like fast paced and like different environments or like skits like that, I have way more fun editing, so that's what I do myself. And yeah, just figuring yourself out in the process, you know. Nobody's perfect in the beginning. You just gotta keep growing.
Do you have any advice for anybody that wants to do either like YouTube or video production in general?
You have to do it.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people I know who want to. You have to start slow. You have to be patient. You have to. You don't have to go to film school. Yeah. You absolutely do not have to go to film school. That's like, I could not say that loud. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like, oh man, I wish I, could make money doing videos. I'm going to go to film school. It's like, no, please don't go to film school.
That's what you should not do.
I mean, yeah, it's really all from practice. When I made the Lego stop motion videos, that was a key fundamental part of me getting to where I'm at. Because you learn angles, you learn pacing, you learn like all this fancy stuff.
Lighting.
Lighting, all that stuff. Those are the skills that you need. And that's the type of practice and discipline you need if you really want to do it. Also, yeah, you need to try it out to see if you actually like it. There's so many parts of video stuff that I actually don't like, or stuff that I'm not good at, or stuff that, whatever. And the only way that you really hone that discernment is if you're actually doing it. You also have to, collab with other people, learn from other people, look at other people who are ahead of you. But yeah, it's not about the school. It's not about the equipment. It's literally just doing it. And I think also people don't start small enough. Like just doing it, that doesn't mean, oh, next time I travel to Hawaii in 6 months, I'll make a video. No. Like go outside right now and make a video.
Yeah.
Literally right this second. Probably going to suck a lot more than you expect. So tomorrow you get to make a better one. That's the type of thinking that leads to you being good at anything. Honestly, the real question is, why are you not doing it? And so everyone needs to figure out their unique reasons why they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like,
that's fair, yeah.
Their parents, financial situation, address the financial situation. Not enough peers doing it as well. Okay, find some peers. Don't know how to do it at all. Find the right YouTube tutorials.
Right. If you're looking for an excuse, you'll always find one.
Yeah, that's so true.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 10 of Creative Minds with Eric. Eric, thank you so much for being on this podcast. This has been a great conversation.
Thanks so much for having me. That was really fun.
No problem. No
Great
problem.
meeting you guys.
All right. We will see you in 2 weeks. Remember, stay creative.